Welcome everybody, my name is François Letarte. This is my channel D30, a channel about tabletop role-playing games. So this will be some sort of a ramble for role-playing with kids in your public library. Yeah, that's the subject. Why this is a subject? Because that's something I'm doing part of my job. I work in a public library. I have many duties to perform. One of them is to make activities surrounding readings, and most of the time, the main people I'm aiming with that are the kids. So of course, doing many activities like that, at some point it had to be role-playing games. I just couldn't miss the chance to experiment that. It's not an easy duty, first of all, to implement role-playing games as a regular activity, well, in the proper way. I will explain some of it during my ramble. I've made lots of experiments. It's been 3 years, actually, that I've been doing that. This year, I think I have a good formula, a good way to do it. Yeah, that's what I want to share, because I just want you to maybe try it yourself with your kids at your public places. Maybe we don't know, but it might be useful. First of all, I'd like to open up something here just before getting into the main subject. Is that public library is an ideal place to meet players, and it's under-mentioned. Okay, I have read lots of stuff about how to meet players, and I have saw many videos talking about it, and I don't remember that public libraries were actually mentioned. And it's a great place, you just, usually public libraries will be more than happy to organize a little something. You can come up at your public library saying, hey, I want to make a role-playing game introduction for the users of the library, and you just have to talk with the library owner, and if they are open enough, they will put up they will take your schedule, they will announce it for you. Usually it's a free place to go, and you just have to announce it as you're playing an adventure game, something like that, and you just have to put there the group of age you want to reach, and people will come, and you will make great, most of the best players I have around my table, I have met throughout the years, were through libraries experiment like that. So you should really consider using the libraries as a meeting place for role-playing game if you want a regular group. Going at the local game store, in my opinion, is out. Usually the people who are going there are already involved into something, while in libraries you can meet people who don't know what is a role-playing game, and they will discover it, and you will have fresh blood to put around your table, and yeah, many good things to come with that. So yeah, public libraries, think about it. So let's get back to the main subject, which is role-playing for kids in public library. So 3 years ago, I decided as part of the reading club. Okay, we have in Canada the TD reading club. Okay, which is something throughout Canada to encourage young readers to read more during the summertime. So we are invited by the reading club to come up with different activities and all that. So yeah, role-playing game was introduced there. I didn't have a straight plan. I just planned out some sessions in advance. I was using Advanced Fighting Fantasy, since it's tied to the Fighting Fantasy game books. So it was a way for me to make the links between books you could read and the role-playing game. Back then I had a group. We got through 2 or 3 adventures. So it was quite positive. I've introduced all those kids role-playing game. They were quite enthusiastic, and they were coming back every week. So since it was positive, I decided to make it back the next summer, so last year. And it was once again Advanced Fighting Fantasy, and I decided to make one adventure. I tried this out, and came up with a new problem, which is a quite flattering problem, but it was a problem in a public library situation. It was the same kids from the last year came back, so I couldn't open up the event for more kids than what I already had. You know, I already had sort of 6 kids around the table who were highly enthusiastic that this event was coming back, and yeah, I was just stuck with them, which is flattering because I do feel that I did a great job. You know, yeah, I've convinced them to come back, and which is good in a way. You know, it's a public service, so yeah, I'm making service to them. But that's the problem. I should have a formula, a way to do it that opens up to everyone. And yeah, but I was stuck with them. You know, every time I would announce a new date, it was them who were coming to the activity. So we've made the adventure. They really liked it. On the side, I began to make some Hero Kids experiment with younger players. Well, it was a little easier to handle since Hero Kids are meant to be one-shots. Okay, I wasn't able to make it exactly a one-shot. Sometimes the adventures would go over 2 sessions, but there was something over there that was working. So during the school years, I was thinking about finding a way to open up more places when I was making those activities. Yeah, something to mention, very important here. I do make those events during my work hours. I work during the day in the week. I don't work in the weekend. I don't work in the evening. Probably if I was working through these time slots, it would be different. But you know, I'm working during the week. In summer, yeah, the kids don't have school, but they need their parents to bring them to the event. And yeah, so during school years, during school holidays, you know, I don't know if the holidays is the right days off, yeah, school days off, I offered them to come back and try to experiment something. My goal was to teach them how to be game masters themselves, and maybe recruit some of them to run some tables during future events. So I wouldn't be alone in game mastering. We would together decide about a scenario, you know, a module to be played that day. It would be one-shots, you know, single episodes of maybe of a big campaign, but these would be, you know, every sessions would come up with an ending. So we would play, all of us would play the same scenario, but yeah, of course, every table will have its own story through what will happen. Yeah, so I trained them. I put away Advanced Fighting Fantasy. I wish I would have kept Advanced Fighting Fantasy, but since it's a public library, I wanted to introduce role-playing games and wanted to be as much, you know, the easiest access as possible. I took a free role-playing game. You know, I watched some of them, French, of course, free role-playing game, and my choice stopped on a role-playing game called Bob le Rollist. So Bob le Rollist is an ultra simple game system, and we created our own world, and I was just, you know, teaching them how to do it through a sandbox campaign, and once in a while I would stop to explain them what was happening, you know, what was the job. In the middle of the school years, two girls, decided that they wanted to try it, to give it a try, to be the game master. So I was making them more sessions just for them. We were creating the scenarios. I was, you know, coaching them into being game masters. Through those exercises, they've made 3 sessions themselves. Well, though it was enjoyable, they didn't have the grasp, you know, enough grasp upon their group. They were learning. And I was coaching them and all that. And yeah, they were playing with, you know, the other players that they were used to play with. So they were in a comfort zone there. You know, they weren't with strangers. They knew about their players. Even though it was quite difficult. Well, we were coming to something. I was, you know, gradually I thought that I would come to this year's summer club ready. But at some point they decided that they prefer it, you know, they would prefer it if I was the game master all the time. Yeah, well, of course, I try to entertain them as much as I can. Yeah, you know, that plan just failed. For this year at least, because I think it can be a good plan to have, you know, other game masters with me, all having their table. You know, they could. Oh, I could open to them, you know, 3 players table. You know, the small tables, but it didn't work. Even though we just finished all the school's days off trying to play the game and, you know, creating the world. That was a very interesting part. You know, through playing, we created the world, some of the myths of the world and all that. So with the basic of what we've done during the school year, I decided to write a trilogy. 3 one-shot adventures, which is some kind of a trilogy, but, you know, if you were playing in only one of them, you could enjoy yourself and, you know, have a grasp of what was going on. I decided to make a trilogy and present them twice. So, yeah, my solution there was to open up 2 different tables with the same adventure. Okay? Yeah, it's a very railroady type of adventure. Since it's a trilogy, it needed an ending. It's not as sandbox as it was during the school year, but, you know, I wanted to open up to, you know, new players, strangers, and all that. Yeah, and I created, you know, pre-generated characters, 18 of them, with images they could choose from. You know, for every pre-gen character, I have 2 female and 2 male choices that I found image throughout the internet with a small list of names. So yeah. So they would, you know, get already inside of it, you know, when they will choose their image, you know, with scissors, cut them, glue them on their sheet, choose one of the name, and yeah, they would be already in it. Which worked quite well with the new players. You know, I've tried it, and yeah, they were quite enjoying their characters, and they were quite into it. Because if I wasn't giving them images, and that's from experience from the past, you know, sessions I had before this summer. You know, they would try to draw their characters, but, you know, with those stick characters, you know. And yeah, they would try to. Yeah, I'm trying to get immersion out of it. And yeah, having, you know, a cool image of what the character could be can help. Well, they were open to come up with their own images and their own names. Some of them came up with their own names, but their names were making sound. It was not a joke name, okay? And yeah, the Bob Le Rollist, I made some work out of it. I've modified the game a little to add a little depth to it, you know, to make it more fantasy-like. And yeah, it's working quite well. It's a very narrative game, you know. It's a very minimal game, you know. You roll 1d6 plus modifier. You have to reach 7. Maybe some modifiers can be applied to them, but basically it's that. It's very narrative with no narrative mechanics, but, you know, you have to fudge everything with what you say. So yeah, I can open up the table for up to 12 players, since I do admit 6 players by session. So yeah, 12 different persons can experiment one of the 3 adventures. So, okay, so what happened? Well, the first session, 3 new players. This was an all-girl table, okay? and they all had a blast. The two sisters who were supposed to be my game masters were the players in that, so they were really digging it, because in the adventure I was introducing stuff that they have created themselves throughout the years. They were in it, they were knowing the world, and the three others were kind of getting into that enthusiasm, and they were introduced to role-playing games. At first they felt that they didn't know how to play the game, but I've made out a very simple situation just to show them what it is. Just before we actually played, I said to them, okay, imagine yourself, you were in front of a big door of a castle with a big handle to knock on it, and the handle is in the mouth of a golden lion, and the sky is gray, and you can hear howlings of ghosts far away. What do you do? And they all came out with what they will do. I will knock the door, I will try to open it, I will try to get around the castle. And I said to them, you understand now, that's how it should be played. You do your stuff as if you were there. And one of the girls said, I don't think I really understand it. I look at her, yeah, you understand. You said what you were going to do with that door. That's exactly it. And they all had a blast. And yeah, they're coming back for all the trilogy. And the second group, it's the same thing. I had the players, and they want to come back for the whole trilogy. But at least I open up more spaces, so I'm giving more service to the public. So I think it's a good way to do it. Yes, it's a little more railroady, but I don't know my adventures. It's a one-page deal with some notes. I have main events. In what order it should happen, but we don't know what, anything can happen. I'm quite open with that, but they have some sort of a mission. They are under King's service, so the King asked them to do something, so they will do it, and they understand that. They agree with that part of the contract. And all the while I'm doing Hero Kids, many one-shots. I do one-shots in 1 hour. Yeah. For this case, they are quite younger, so I decided to help them a lot as a game master. I don't leave them with problems they have to solve themselves. I gave them some choices. If in the next 3 seconds they don't come up with something, I say, oh, maybe you could do this or that, and they will choose to that. And we can get the adventure in 1 hour. I do the pre-made adventures from Hero Kids. They do enjoy that a lot, and I do check my watch, and when the time is running out, I do modify the adventure, maybe cut one of the encounter of 2 to come up with a satisfying cliffhanger in relation with what's happening. And for now, I do have a blast. That's great. I'm introducing kids to role-playing games, which is a great thing. It's huge, in fact. I am doing it in the public library. It's the great place to do it. I'm not using Pathfinder or known stuff. I'm using a document that everyone could get. In fact, I've made the modifications, and I make the Google Drive link to it. Available. Basically it's a free game, and it's just my version of it. And since I'm a public library, I'm not here to sell stuff. I'm here to serve the public and help them. So I'm sharing my work. Maybe one day I will do a written form of my experiment. It's just the beginning. I hope that it will evolve into something even better in the future, but that's how I'm doing it. So that was my ramble about role-playing with kids in the public library. Feel free to comment, ask questions, like. François Letard, JDR D30, and up to next time, I hope you have as much fun in your life as in your games. Goodbye.